Really do like this blue interior. Very impressive. So I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and I have the driver's seat all the way back and all the way down. I'm 6 feet tall, to give you an idea of the potential legroom here. Now, when the seat's all the way down, it feels like you're sitting on the floor. And which this type of vehicle, it's kind of gonna feel like that anyway, really. But the legroom is pretty decent overall. This right here is soft, but I don't really touch it that much when I'm driving. And just overall, it's actually pretty good. Now, depending, if you're like wearing boots or something, then there's a little bit of a limitation as far as the legroom right here. I had some bulky shoes on and I had to change them because it's just kind of getting jammed up a little bit. I can still drive the vehicle, but it's just a little bit better having smaller type shoes to fit in here. So that way I can reach the clutch and everything properly. But yeah, as far as this room, the nature of the vehicle, you're going to be kind of low down, your feet straight out basically, and but the seat isn't 100% comfortable for me. It does have manual height adjustments here on the left side, and then you have the adjustments here for going forward and back. And for me, pushing the clutch and everything, I probably pull it up just a few inches extra, just so that way I can get a good firm reach on the clutch and the brake. And then this is the tilt the back, so the controls are kind of split. Power here, and then on this side is a manual kind of dials on the side there for the height adjustments. But overall, I mean, the seats are okay. They're not spectacular. For me, they're not like super comfortable or anything, but they're just not like super bad. I can drive the vehicle. It's not really a big deal. Okay, so the steering wheel is a full round steering wheel. I'm kind of surprised it's not flat bottom or anything. It'd be kind of neat if it had a little bit of a flat bottom, give you a little bit of extra room here, especially if you lower the steering wheel. The movement of the steering wheel goes down quite a bit, comes up quite a bit. You can also pull it in a little bit, in and out. But yeah, if it had like a flat bottom, if you kind of pull it down a little bit, I think that might be a little bit better, but it's okay the way it is. It's not a super soft steering wheel, but it's not really a big deal. It hadn't really had any problems with it as far as being, digging into my hands or anything like that. But yeah, overall, it's a good, kind of decent steering wheel. It's nothing standing out as far as like making it sporty. There's no, suede accents or any fancy, and it doesn't even have contrast stitching, just like regular stitching here. It does have the gloss black portion on the steering wheel as well, so you want to make sure you keep a cloth handy because it's going to get a lot of fingerprints on it. I don't really mind it. I mean, it's I like to keep it clean anyway, so if you hide the fingerprints, then they're still there. It's just a matter of you not being able to clean them off or notice them. Okay, so that's more notice them. Okay, so there's the volume for the radio. Change to the tracks. Then there's a couple buttons here that corresponds with the screen. And then here on the right side is cruise control. It does have the adaptive cruise control as well, in which you can set the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. But it doesn't have any kind of like a lane keep assist or anything like that. Windshield wiper controls are here. Turn signals there with the headlight switch. It does have the automatic function as well. And the headlights are great. You got to check out the night video. Headlights are good. The automatic high beams seem to work good too. So right here, to the right, there you go, kind of hiding here. That's your dimmer switch for the interior gauges. Also, you have a reset button there. And then here on the left side is the traction control off button. Default is on. If you want to spin tires, you can turn it off if you want. Okay, so here's the gauges here. And this is one view. There's a couple different views you can have. This is one of the views here, which looks really good. I think they did a pretty decent job with this, having a digital gauge cluster here. So it has a more standard, kind of simulating dials here. So there's the RPMs here on the left side. The speedometer is on the right side. It does have a digital speedometer there in the center. And then you have the fuel gauge, of course, and the engine coolant temperature, outside temperature. Here in the center, they're showing the status of the safety features and stuff. What gear you're in. That's handy, and you notice it has a little S right there. That lets you know that the rev matching is activated, and also your range to empty. Now these buttons here on the left side, if you just kind of scroll this, you can get additional information there in the center, so you can change your view there. And then if you just, depending on what your screen you're in, but if you press this button here, then it pops up, and then you can change meter view. Now you notice there's a couple things here: audio source, driver assistance, personal display. So you can select that, but note that kind of, those choices change depending on what quote meter you have, which is basically the screen. So let's go back here, change meter. So that's what we've been looking at so far has been the normal. Let's go to the sport, and it changes the view to this screen here. So now in this screen it's showing more focused on the RPMs, big tachometer there in the center. It does have the engine oil pressure, engine oil temperature, water temperature, and differential oil. So this will be more focused on your, the performance as you're driving, keeping an eye on everything that's relevant as far as the engine and stuff like that. And it does have a digital speedometer here as well. So now if we scroll with this wheel, instead of that center part that we saw before, now it's showing this part in which tire pressure, boost pressure, G-force meter, and then settings. We can select the settings and go in here and change what we want. Go back out of that. So you notice that's a little bit different view here. Now it has the boost pressure here, but you actually have a fixed gauge cluster up here, which it has the boost pressure, but it also has the turbo speed, like the how fast the turbo's spinning, which is pretty rapid apparently. And then you have, because this is times 10 RPM, RPMs, 10,000 RPMs. So 5 would be 50,000 RPMs right off the bat. So then you have the voltage here. So you have those 3 gauges there. So this is kind of redundant, but it's, sometimes if you want it there, you can have it there if you'd like. If you need to really focus on it, that might be better to have that right in front of you at times. And the G-force meter there. So let's go back here, change meter view. Now let's go, I accidentally hit sport. So let's go down to enhanced. Enhanced gives it kind of like a weird look here, 3-dimensional look. It's kind of neat, I guess. So it has the dials kind of angled, and since we have a screen, we can make them look any way we want. So when we scroll the wheel now, we have this information here in the center, just kind of changes. Select that. So change meter view. I kind of like the sport, but also like the normal. I like the sport normal. I don't really care for the enhanced that much, but the sport's pretty cool. We'll just put it on that. It's pretty neat how it transitions. And there's the scroll wheel, there's the menu, menu button, I guess you can call it. Change to the tracks, stuff like that. Alright, so having the gauges up here, kind of classic looking. This whole vehicle feels like they kept all the positive things from previous generations and then just kind of added some modern stuff. It's really well done, I think. Then here's the center screen, and the center screen just looks really good, and it's angled nicely. You can see it nice. It has a physical volume button, tune through the stations button, knob there, these knobs. And then it has physical buttons here at the bottom that you can quickly go through. Now they're calling this home the menu. So if you hit menu, it takes you to the home screen. And then it's kind of like has different icons, kind of shortcuts more or less. Pretty handy, I guess. There's your audio screen here. You have different audio sources: AM, FM, satellite radio, USB, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth audio, that kind of stuff. Let's go to the radio here, see what it looks like. So that way you have a little bit of album art, and you have the presets there, that kind of stuff. So you can go to the map, see what it looks like here. Kind of zoom in and out here so you can see what it looks like. And then of course you can search and add addresses and stuff like that. Let's kind of see what it looks like so you can see it has the full keyboard. And it'll narrow it down for you as well. And then you can go into settings, different settings here. So yeah, that's kind of a quick rundown. It's very easy to use. It looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and put it in reverse so you can see what the backup camera looks like. It's pretty decent. It's not the highest resolution, but it is a large screen, so it kind of helps you see. Now, it doesn't give you like the widest angle. Like, you can still, you know, if there's a car coming, you might not see it, but it does have, you know, a pretty decent view, and it has active guidelines. Not the best camera in the world, I don't think, but it's okay. And I like the way it fills the whole screen. That helps out a lot, being able to see it instead of having just like, you know, have this big screen and then just utilizing a small portion of it like some manufacturers do. Also, it has the parking sensors as well. So you can see the parking sensor are popped up here now that we're in reverse. So it'll give you a visual and an audible tone if you get close to something. So front or back, it lets you know. So yeah, I think they did a pretty good job as far as the orientation and the size of the screen here. It's easy to get to, and just looks really nice, kind of integrated nicely. It's not like a separate tablet propped up on the dash or something like that. So yeah, I think they did a great job on it. Sometimes, rarely, there'll be like a little bit of a glare off of depending on the sun or whatever, but it's not bad at all. And the climate control, pretty basic. You have the temperature, fan speed, where you want the air to blow, air conditioning, recirculate the air, and the heated controls there in the back. So the rear glass and the side mirrors, you can press it in like that. But if you want the front defroster, then you can just scroll this all the way to the right. Right now I have it on automatic. Now there is some connectivity here, USB-C, regular USB. There's also a little storage compartment here. Now my phone fits right in here nicely. So I can put that phone right in there. Kind of sinks in. It's rubberized here on the bottom. There's no wireless charger or anything, but that would be a good spot to put it if they're going to have one. There's the start button, start the vehicle. There's the S mode. So I have this on all the time, and even when I restart the vehicle, it stays on. Kind of remembers your setting. But this is, you know, your rev matching, and even if you're not driving fast, you're just kind of driving easy. The rev matching just makes it just a much smoother driving experience. So I'll just leave that on. It's fantastic. I love this shifter, the integration to where it transitions from there to the boot right here. Just looks really good. Very comfortable. It's not overly tall or anything, and it's very solid feeling, you know. And, you know, going through the gears, there's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And if you need, when you go to reverse, you have to push down on it and go to the right, and then there's reverse. So yeah, really solid feeling shifter, and very intuitive. You know, 6 gears, and you're not going to accidentally go over into reverse, because you have to purposely push it down in order to get over to that right side to put it in reverse. So there's heated seat controls, low and high, for the driver and passenger seats. The ability to pop the hatch back there. It does have a manual parking brake, which is great. I like having a I mean, part of the reason why I like a manual one is because you can literally use it if you're driving as a emergency brake. You know, it's not just on or off. You can actually pull up on this and slow the vehicle gently if you need to. So yeah, really like that. Now this armrest, there's a cup holder here, and put a bottle in it so you can see that when you're driving, it doesn't get in the way, and that's important. So if you had, you know, bottle holders or whatever here in the way, then you need to use that shifter. So this actually does a pretty decent job as I'm driving to stay out of the way. Okay, so this is not super soft. It is rounded. It has a little soft surface on the top, but you know, it's okay. Hadn't really had an issue, but it's not like super soft or anything. It's definitely not softer down here, but where my elbow goes, it's like not soft. So, you know, something to consider when you take it for a test drive. Make sure this is going to be comfortable for you. I think it's fine for most people though. Now this goes forward and back. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it back. You can see there's another cup holder. So if you got a passenger that needs a cup holder, you can slide it back, and that way you have 2. You can also press this button and it'll release this up. And this is a little felt line compartment here with a 12-volt power supply in there as well. Now my business card's in there. It's not easily accessed. It's like way behind my elbow, so this compartment is not, especially if you're driving or something, you're not going to be able to access that easily. But I like the way it moves forward and back. That's kind of neat. The rear view mirror is auto dim rear view mirror, and it has the controls here that you can turn it on or off. It also has the HomeLink garage door opener controls here. And this light indicates that the auto dim portion is turned on. There's lights up here. They're very easy to use, just very simple, nothing special. You can turn them all on, turn them all off, or have them turn on with the door in that center position. There's also a roadside assistance emergency button here as well. Now the visors, the headliner's a black cloth, same thing with the visors. And it has a mirror with a light, not super bright or anything, but it has one. There's also an extension here on the side. So instead of sliding out, it just adds this right here to the side. You know, not really, kind of useful in this vehicle. It kind of it does a pretty decent job. Visibility here in the back is not the greatest right here. So like you're just kind of looking in your blind spot when you're back. It's more for like backing out of a parking spot than anything else. But you know, it's just like I said, the nature of the vehicle. It does have a nice big back glass, so you can actually see behind it. And the cargo area is not bad. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it does have the hatchback, which helps out helps putting stuff in and out. For me and my purposes, it's actually pretty good. Put my equipment there. It's a pretty decent height. I can reach it easy. I can open up the hatch and get to everything nicely. I just can't put a lot of stuff, that's all. Behind the seats are these little storage compartments, which come in handy. Well, it's more like just a little shelf, I guess you can say. And then there is a little storage compartment, like so. This one has the manual in it. But yeah, this kind of has like a felt line floor, so you can quickly, throw something in here and then access it when you're sitting in the driver's seat. It's not easily accessed without sitting in the seats, but there's one behind this seat and there's one behind that seat. So that kind of helps out with just kind of quick access. When you're in the vehicle, you can just set something back there out of the way. It's really got a really good sound system, but the exhaust, it's even better. So go ahead and accelerate here so you can hear what it sounds like. It really is fun to drive. And it doesn't take long to get up to speed. Really impressive. And the steering is just razor sharp. It is absolutely tight and solid here in the front. It's interesting having gauges for the oil temperature separate from the engine coolant temperature. It also has the differential oil and of course the oil pressure, but having those separate temperatures is pretty interesting because, so like say the engine oil, when you first start the vehicle and it's cold, well, the water temperature raises fast, but the engine oil takes a little while for it to kind of catch up and create an equilibrium in the engine. So just because the water temperature has raised to the highest amount it's going to get, basically, the engine oil is still lagging behind quite a bit. So if you think, okay, well, my engine's warmed up, well, it's not really fully warmed up for like 10 minutes or something of driving, depending on the outside temperature, of course. It's been cold here recently, but so yeah, having those temperatures and the differential oil. So like a differential, this one actually has some passive cooling on it as well. But the differential, there's no combustion going on in there. It's just spinning gears. And the amount of heat that gets generated in the differentials, kind of interesting. I mean, I didn't really understand or realize how much heat can get accumulated in the differential, just from the gears, the friction from the gears. You know, considering it has some really thick oil and the gears are very well designed to where they're not, you know, they're very well designed as far as trying to reduce friction. So so yeah, it's just kind of interesting being able to see those temperatures while you're driving, and how they change as you drive. It's pretty interesting. As far as just like cruising with this vehicle, just, you know, you kind of set the cruise control, put it in 6th gear, and you're cruising along. It's actually pretty good. I mean, it's got a rough ride, because it's kind of has that sport suspension. It's not like a floaty, quiet vehicle. It's got a, you know, you feel the bumps in the road, and you hear the road noise and stuff like that. But you know, that kind of goes with the territory with this type of car. It to have that just razor sharp steering and solid front end, just is really a pleasure. So it kind of makes up for any discomfort as far as like the stiffness of the suspension and stuff. And it depends on if you're like on like super bumpy roads. It doesn't matter what vehicle you're in. You're gonna feel some bumps, you know. But this one, you know, stiff suspension and all that, it's definitely not a super smooth ride.